guys, we are back, and today what we're going to focus on is we are on day 4, and we're going to talk about encryption versus hashing. Encryption versus hashing. Now, this takes me back when not too long ago, because as you guys already know, we are literally in the journey of trying to get our Comptia Security Plus. We haven't received it yet, but we are in the journey. We are in the path. Okay. And when I first learned about encryption and hashing, I was just like, hey man, it looks like the same exact thing. Like, I'm going to be really honest with you. And some of you guys are actually watching this video because you feel like it is the same exact thing, or you're trying to go ahead and you're searching for a deeper explanation of what exactly is encryption and what exactly is hashing. Good news is you guys are on the right video, because what we're going to do today is we're going to break it down in simplistic terms. We're also going to give you the literature. That way you can go ahead and dive in deeper to their technical definitions. If you've been watching my videos, you guys know I like to break things down so I can comprehend it. So I start to go ahead and derive my own definitions from their actual definition based upon the literature, so I can go ahead and keep all of this information in my brain. Okay, at least that's what I try to do. And at the end of the video, we're also going to focus on some basic, what would basically be some hands-on. Okay, that way you guys go ahead and can look at this visually. You guys can go ahead and by the end of this video, you'll be able to decode exactly what this is. Okay, um, this is our secret message, so to speak. But most importantly, guys, we're going to focus on the difference between encryption and hashing. Okay. And before we even begin, let's already start with what we know. Okay. If you're having a difficult time with, hey, what exactly is encryption and what exactly is hashing, let's literally go back to day 1. Okay. Day 1, we talked about cybersecurity equals the CIA triad. And look at this. Confidentiality is another word for encryption, and integrity is another word for hashing, right? These two are associated. These two are associated. So when you think of confidentiality, you're thinking about encryption. When you're thinking about integrity, you're thinking about hashing. And if you know the definitions for confidentiality and you know the definitions for integrity, then it starts to paint a better picture. If you don't remember the definitions, don't worry about it. I'll help you out. So confidentiality is basically making sure that you protect your data, and in this case by means of encryption. So if you have your secret, remember our Coca-Cola recipe, the secret Coca-Cola recipe was represented by ABC123, and we encrypted that by going ahead and making it, I believe it was BCD, 1, 2, 3, or something along those lines. So confidentiality is basically making sure that you protect the data, and it's basically not in plain text. So there's a layer of protection. Okay. You're encrypting the information, and encryption has been going on since the dawn of time. And this is going to sound silly, but if I say yes, then technically that means no. And if I say no, then that technically means yes. Or just think about it out in the battlefield. If you said something along the lines of, hey, we're going to move 2,000 soldiers from the northwest to the northeast on this date, and you have it exactly spelled out as such, and an enemy goes ahead and interprets, or rather intercepts that message, then they know, hey, they're moving forces, right? But if you were smart enough to have that as the plain text and they decode it as in with another meaning or something along the lines like winter is long, the birds are passing through the passage, something along those lines, somebody might read it and say, oh yeah, the winter is long and birds are passing through the passage. But somebody who knows the key word is the key of that encryption, because you're trying to keep your information confidential, can say, hey, the birds, that means we got to go this way, so to speak. you know a little bit of a rant, but nonetheless, confidentiality and encryption. Okay, integrity is more so of making sure that the information you have is basically the correct information. So integrity, making sure that, hey, this soda that I'm drinking, It is authentic. It is genuinely 100% Coca-Cola. Okay. And we talked about that. And now we move on to day 4. Okay. So day 4, we have the idea of encryption versus hashing. So in other words, you can think of it as confidentiality versus integrity. Okay. But now we're going to dive in a little bit deeper into encryption, and we're going to dive in a little bit deeper into hashing. Okay. And as I genuinely like to do, this article here, hashing versus encryption versus salting. What's the difference? This is an amazing article, guys, and it goes ahead and it gives a lot of information, and it gives you examples of encryption algorithms. It gives you examples of hashing algorithms, so on and so forth. I don't know about you, but I can't keep all of this information in my brain. I only have so much real estate, and I want to make sure that I can derive, and this is perfect right here because we're going to talk about this. I want to make sure that I can derive all of this information in a nice, neat, organized way so my brain can go ahead and comprehend all these complex topics. Okay, so I'm going to take this whole article, which I will link it. I'm going to take this whole article, okay, and I'm going to break it down to this right here. Okay, encryption is two-way. Okay, encryption is two-way. It's a two-way street. Hashing is one way. Encryption involves keys. Encryption, the reason why I say it's two-way is because you're taking plain text, you're going to go ahead and encrypt it, you're going to assign a key, and you have the opportunity to decrypt the plain text, assuming you have the right key. Okay, so it's two-way. So you can take something from plain text to encrypted text to back to plain text. Okay, and depending on who has the key and if you have the appropriate key, it doesn't matter if you have all this mumbo jumbo. Okay, it doesn't matter if you have all of this mumbo jumbo. You could go ahead and start to decrypt this message and decrypt this data so you can actually go ahead and comprehend it. So you can get it in plain text. So you can get it in means of comprehension, right? I can't comprehend this right here. I don't know if you can, and whatnot. I don't know if you have a decrypting algorithm in your brain, of this nature, but nonetheless, um, that is encryption. Encryption involves keys, and it's two-way. You decrypt and you encrypt. Decrypt and you encrypt. Okay, and we can actually write this down here. Okay, so this involves keys, and you encryption, encryption, and decryption. All right, hopefully you spelled that right. Okay. And the current standard is AES, Advanced Encryption Standard. Okay. Encryption, there's a lot of more information because you have different types of keys. You have something that would be one key, which is considered symmetric encryption, and you have another thing that's considered asymmetric, where you have two keys. Okay. Private keys, public keys, things of that nature. But we're not worried about that today. Today, we're worried about making sure we establish and differentiate the difference between encryption and hashing. We want to make sure that we know what an encryption is, and we want to know what hashing is. We already know that encryption involves confidentiality. We already know that hashing involves integrity. Now we're learning that encryption is two ways that involves keys. You can take something from you can encrypt something and you can decrypt something. If someone has the correct key, they can take mumbo jumbo like this and break it down to plain text. When it comes to hashing, hashing is a one-way street. There's no keys. There's no keys when it comes to hashing. Hashing is basically once it's baked in, okay, once the cake has been baked, you can't break it back down to the ingredients. Okay, this goes ahead and it is one way. It doesn't matter if you have the keys. You can't necessarily go ahead and decode the hashing, so to speak. If you can, that means you have a really bad hash, and that is something that you don't want. Obviously, there's always anomalies and whatnot, but nonetheless, the difference between encryption and hashing: encryption is two-way, hashing is one-way. Hashing, think about it as baking. Once it's baked in, you can't remove it. You can't take the cake and start going ahead and saying, hey, I want to derive the eggs from this. With the encryption, it's a little different. You can go ahead, and if you have the right key, you can start going ahead and decipher what exactly this text means. Which brings me to our hands-on. We're going to figure out what exactly this text is. And I actually have it here already. Okay. And as you can see here, it says AES decryption. And this here is our encrypted message, and we have a decrypt. We're going to go ahead and decrypt this message to figure out, hey, what exactly is going on. Okay. So we're looking at this. Okay. And the most important thing, guys, okay, this matters as well, because this is how you're going to go ahead and categorize the data, and how you're going to organize it, and how the encryption is going to work and whatnot. But the most important thing is the secret key. If you don't have the key, you're not going to be able to read this data in plain text. So let's put down the key. Okay. And I made it really simple for myself. If you have a keyboard in front of you, you would realize exactly what I did. Okay. But we have our key, and look at what happens once we have the correct key. Look at what happens to this data. This data is going to go ahead and be decrypted, and it says, this is ITResume YouTube channel. Keep studying, keep learning, keep growing. Okay, so instead of having this message where anybody can read that plain text, okay, instead of having that message where anybody can read that plain text, we went ahead and we used an algorithm. Okay, we created a key. Okay, and we took this plain text and we went ahead and we derived this mumbo jumbo. Okay. And then we did the reverse, the two-way. Okay. And actually, I have it here. Okay. So you can start to see, hey, enter plain text to encrypt. This is ITResume YouTube channel. Keep studying, keep learning, keep growing. Okay. And we entered our key. We went ahead. We wanted that information. We hit the encrypt button. We got the mumbo jumbo. Okay. So this is one way. And look what happened. This is two way. Okay, so that was one way. This is the other way. So now see how we can go back and forth, back and forth. We can go ahead and work with that. And that's why I say encryption is two-way. It's a two-way street. Now, let's go to hashing. Hashing is right here. So if I click, this is ITResume YouTube channel. Okay, and I click generate, you're going to go ahead and see you have the SHA. Remember, SHA stands for Secure Hashing Algorithm, and this is technically our level 2, and this right here would basically be more so of the lengths. Okay, and obviously the higher the length, okay, the more secure it's going to be, theoretically. So we look at this, and here's something that I want you to really go ahead and look at. Okay, so if I change anything, okay, even if I add an extra L, look at what happens down over here. Okay, so I add an extra L, it changed. Add a U, it changed. Okay, so if I spell channel like this, okay, you guys can see that the hashing, okay, the algorithm is changing every single time. But notice the funny thing, that the length has not changed. Okay, the length of that has not changed. That's not necessarily a key indicator, because you can do something similar with the encryption. But the idea is this. The idea is this. If you hash, okay, so if I take this here and I go back to our secret key, okay, actually, let me just use a new concept. So ABC ABC123, and I say that this is my password. Okay, ABC123 is my password. Okay, I can take this hash, okay, and with that hash, it's gonna basically go ahead. It's not encrypting the ABC123 necessarily. What it's doing, it's stating, hey, this this um this ABC123 uh hasn't been changed, because this is a one-way street, so to speak. So for example, if I were to go ahead and put a file, okay, I'll give you guys an example. Let's go back over here. So if I make this my file, okay, if I make this my file, okay, notice I have my hash, okay. And remember what we're talking about when we talk about encryption and we talk about hashing. Remember our day one: confidentiality, encryption. I'm pretty sure we nailed that. We hit that out of the park. Integrity and hashing is what we're still talking about. If this is my data and I create a hash that is only one way, and remember, we want it to be like that for a specific reason. Because if this is the secret message from one general to another general that's saying, hey, this is what we got going on, or hey, this is the message, and you have a hash, that way you can make sure that this is the actual correct information. So the integrity, this message is the message that it says it is. Okay, the hashing, that's what hashing does. That's the reason why hashing is one way, because we want to make sure that this is an authentic message. Okay, so with the hashing, if I were to go ahead, um let's just say there was an evil perpetrator out there, okay, and he went ahead and he looked at her message and he said, hey, you know what, don't study today, ha 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 ha, okay, or something along those lines, but don't study today, ha ha ha, okay. Uh, Let me see here. But don't study today. Ha ha ha. Working on my evil laugh here. But okay. Notice. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead, and this is gonna really paint the picture. Okay. I'm gonna put this on. Let me do this here. I'm gonna put this on this side, and I'm gonna put this. And I know we're getting a little overextended on time, but just bear with me because this is gonna drive the point home. Okay. Notice here, when we have this message, okay, we're going to go ahead and we'll copy the first one. When we have this message, this ITResume YouTube channel, keep studying, keep learning, keep growing, okay? So when we have that message, I'm going to take this hash and I'm going to go ahead and put it here, okay? That's literally our digital signature. Okay. That information, we created a hash. So if we look at that hash, we already know that we can go ahead and say, hey, um, this is an authentic message that was created at this point in time. But let's say we have a evil hacker or what have you or whatnot, and we say, but don't okay, don't study today. Okay. You should be studying every day. Okay. So look, we changed the message. Okay, we changed the message. And now when we go to our hash, okay, you're gonna notice, okay, so this was original message. Okay. Why did it do that? Let me see here. Should I make this smaller? Oh, there we go. So we had our original message. Okay. Then we went ahead and mind you, we're on the topic of hashing. Okay. It looked like mumbo jumbo, but we're still with hashing. Then we went ahead and we changed. So this was hacked, so to speak. This was hacked. Okay, you can see here. Okay, you can see here we had our original message, and we can test the integrity of that, or we can see if any data has been changed based upon the hashing. Okay, how do I know that? Because look, I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna go back. So we're here. Don't study today. If we delete this completely, okay, and I want to make sure I get it right. Hopefully, I didn't have any spaces, because literally one space would change everything. See that? One space changes everything. So hopefully we had it right. Okay. We're gonna go here. Okay. So you can see literally the integrity. Okay, you can literally see how this hashing algorithm has literally, if you were to put a space, you can see, hey, our data has been altered, or hey, something's not right. Hey, this hash is different from what we originally had. Okay. And hopefully we did it correctly. And you can see, okay, and we're gonna do a little comparison here. Okay, and this is back to original. Okay, let me take this here. We're gonna cut that, and we're gonna paste it back over here, and it literally looks the same. 7, yes, 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 yes. Okay, yes, yes, yes. That okay, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. Good, 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 good. All right. If my eyes are good, you guys can see what we did. Okay, so that is literally a digital match. Okay, that's literally a digital match. So you guys can see how whether this is mumbo jumbo and this is mumbo jumbo, but the difference is one of them deals with encryption, which has to do with confidentiality. The other one deals with hashing, which has to do with integrity. And both of those are vital ingredients in order for us to go ahead and make sure that we have security in the cyber landscape. Okay. Hopefully we I know we definitely brought that back together, and it definitely shows, it paints a better picture. Okay. But just think about it this way. Okay. I will post the article on there, but remember, encryption, two-way, hashing, one way. Encryption deals with keys. You have symmetric, asymmetric, you have a plethora of algorithm. Hashing does not deal with keys. Okay. You don't have any keys. It's one way. Okay. And you still have a plethora of what would be hashing algorithms. Okay. But remember, encryption, confidentiality, hashing, integrity, both are vital components. While they might seem similar to the naked eye, to the layman, and when it comes to us, when it comes to cybersecurity analysts, when it comes to cybersecurity professionals, you should be able to decipher the difference between encryption and hashing. Okay. Nonetheless, we are basically on day 4. We're doing pretty well, and we will continue to go ahead and post videos. With that being said, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one.